Be talking politics here on East Texas Live. We're going to be looking at key races in East Texas and what you need to know before heading to the polls. We're going to be talking to members of both political parties. On Tuesday, the League of Women Voters will be in to discuss what you need to know about voting. On Wednesday, Smith County Republicans will stop by. On Thursday, our political analyst, Dr. James Newsom, will talk about the battle in the House and the Senate. And on Friday, the Smith County Elections Office will be in the studio to discuss how this year's early voter turnout is compared to years past. But to kick it all off, Michael Tolbert with the Smith County Democrats joins us live in the East Texas studio. Thank you so much for joining us. So the big race that everybody's talking about is the one between Senator Ted Cruz and challenger Congressman Beto O'Rourke. The polls have been up and down for quite some time. The latest polls, though, today by the Texas Tribune show that Senator Ted Cruz has 51% and O'Rourke has 45%. And this even comes after a dip in the polls right around the first debate. So my question to you to kind of start this all off is, does that dip in the poll concern you as a Democrat, and what do you think will happen come Election Day?
Well, when you quote those numbers, the issue is who are they polling? And usually they refer to likely voters. So there are not a lot of newly registered voters and a lot of people that just haven't voted. So that's going to make the difference. And we have a lot more enthusiasm on our side.
And so you're not concerned about any sort of polling gap.
It all comes down to turnout.
It all comes down to turnout. And just for you, being out in the public, being out with the people, how has voter turnout been that you've seen?
We're very enthused. We averaged about 5,000 per day the first week. This past Sunday, I believe we had about 1,700 voters. So very good turnout.
And you were in Smith County last week whenever Congressman O'Rourke traveled through. What were some of the main key takeaways that you saw at his rallies?
The thing that stands out with me about him is the honesty and the integrity. The fact that he has made a pledge and honored that pledge to reject PAC and special interest money. So when he gets to the U.S. Senate, he's going to be representing people. He won't be beholden to corporations and special interests, which a representative is supposed to represent people. Represent
all people. Now, here in a little bit, I want to play a clip of a soundbite. But first, there was a Tea Party wave in 2010, and this right here has been considered a blue wave this year. However, here's what Grassroots America, We the People, Joanne Fleming said at Ted Cruz rally about the blue wave. Let's take a listen.
I can tell you, we have got to offset the blue and purple parts of this state. But are y'all with me? Smith County will never be blue.
All right, so whenever you hear that, Smith County will never be blue. What are your thoughts on that? Is the blue wave real, or is it just another political term?
You know, I don't focus on the different colors on the political wheel. My concern is that we have good representation for people, and that's what it comes down to. Beto O'Rourke has demonstrated through his service in Congress that he will represent people, and that's really all that matters.
Now, I also want to get on to some of the other key races. I know that's not the only one. There's also one for U.S. Congressman. Louis Gohmert's up against Shirley McKellar for 1st Congressional District. Now, Gohmert's been in seat since 2005. Do you see there being an upset, or what has been some of the big key takeaways that you've had while listening to Ms. McKellar?
You know, what's interesting, you may recall that Congressman Gohmert said his reason for not hosting town halls was because he was afraid that someone may get hurt, which is ridiculous. You know, that's been his excuse for not talking to people. So how can the House is the people's house. So how can you serve in Congress without talking to people? He'll go to fundraisers where he earns money, but he won't actually listen to people to understand what the district wants.
Well, he also said, too, that he was worried that there would be so much yelling that no actual, I guess, work would have been done if Ms. McKellar's voted. Is she going to say the same thing?
Yeah, we're in East Texas. That's not an issue. So, again, he's just making excuses.
All right, so what are some of the other key races that you yourself are keeping an eye on, or that you want potential Democratic voters or even Republican voters that may look to turn? What do you want them to be on the lookout for?
This morning, we had Justin Nelson here in Tyler. He is running for Attorney General. Okay, one of the top lawyers. He was a clerk for Sandra Day O'Connor, and his opponent is under felony indictment, 3 counts of felony indictment for bribery, fraud, and they have delayed his trial for 3 years to keep him in office. So my question is, would any individual hire an attorney who is under felony indictment? Yet there are people out there that are willing to overlook that, and that's unacceptable. So when we talk about honesty and integrity in politics, that's a prime example of where we need to be honest.
All right, well, so I do want to ask a quick question, though, and we'll keep it short. What are some common misconceptions that you feel, being a Democrat in East Texas, that you feel Republicans have about you guys?
Okay, that's a great point. You know, if you look around, you hear this talk about conservative. Well, guess what? East Texas is a conservative area. I consider myself conservative in some ways. I don't like to waste money. I'm hardworking. I believe in family. I believe in tradition. I believe in honesty and all those things. So Republicans do not have a monopoly on those things. So if a person is looking at labels to make their decisions about voting, that's not the right way to make decisions about who your representatives are going to be.
All right, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.